Forspoken, the literal isekai game, finally has its release date. This is one both myself and Josh have had our eye on for some time now, back when it was originally revealed, and back then it was called Project Athia. And after a long wait, we have a new trailer thanks to the Game Awards last night, which shows some of the coolest looking movement and magic I've seen in any game ever. Thanks to that new trailer, we also know that it's coming May 24th, 2022 now. I recently featured Forspoken in my Games Monster Hunter Fans Should Know About series, showcasing some of this really cool world and the very cool looking gameplay, which does have a lot of different monsters to fight. And we were planning to do a dedicated video for the game to tell you everything we actually know about it so far, and make you, more aware of it if you're somehow not. With that new trailer, we thought, hey, let's just do it. So let's get into it. Starting with the all-important context for the game. This is Frey, a regular human who's just living her life. And suddenly she is transported through a portal and sort of shot into another world, in which that world, she has these awesome magical powers. So yeah, this is an isekai concept, which is actually originally based on games anyway, right? But for some reason, I don't remember any recent actual isekai games. But they must be a common concept. Either way, the source of this power seems tied to the golden bands that she's wearing around her forearms now, which, as shown in the last trailer, will actually speak to you as a sort of companion that I guess you're going to rely on while getting lost in this new world. The downside as Frey then is, sure, yeah, her fantasies of power and magic are now real, but also, her nightmares manifest here as well. Which leads to the seemingly great variety of enemy types and big monsters we can fight. The last main thing you should probably know about the world is how Athia is a place under tyrannical rule. There's a sort of council and a main villain called Tanta, which was shown to challenge you as a direct boss fight. In this new trailer from the Game Awards last night, we saw some hints of that civilization that lives here and how pretty corrupt and crazy it seems. And we know from earlier info that Frey is going to try and put an end to it, sort of free the people. The main event for me is the gameplay. My god, the gameplay. Look at this. These are the new clips from the new trailer that showcase entirely new magic we've not seen in the past trailers, entirely new movement like the ice hoverboard, and gives us a good idea of the pace of the gameplay now. Something I thought I understood about the game from early clips were, well, yeah, the movement looks incredible. It's not going to be as free as it looked. I saw sort of telltale signs of corridor movement, linear level design, which would probably waste this flowy free movement. Well, in that new trailer, it looks like we're leaping around a massive desert area that you could just go in any direction and explore. Or from the last trailer, where you've got these huge views from a hill, and actually it seems much more open with that context in mind. Maybe we'll actually be able to just run around wherever, which gives us a good chance to enjoy the insane movement on a bigger scale, which I think is exciting. As you can see though, she can run really fast, leap massive gaps, you can grapple terrain and flip and spin from it. You can actually see how the air shimmers around her feet. I think that's when she's got this movement mode active. When she bumps into any terrain, she seems to be able to sort of climb up and over it, like being able to parkour anything naturally if you don't lose all your momentum first. We're also seeing examples of how she would create platforms under herself mid-flight, or of course that insanely cool looking ice board that I guess she's controlling the ice and just standing on it. And this is all movement you can use while in combat, by the way. We've seen examples of where she's zipping around mid-battle or leaping in to get close, and that was shown in the final encounter of the new trailer. She's literally leaping and dodging in the air while trying to avoid this weird giant eye monster's grasp. And there's a moment there where she's actually hovering as well, so somehow they're still revealing new movement mechanics every trailer. Anyway, it's time to talk combat. The magic is so cool for the movement, right? But I think it's even better in the combat. In the past, we've seen examples of fire magic, water/ice magic, and then of course finally earth magic. In the new trailer, we've seen entirely new ways that Frey is using those things, but also both now nature and lightning magic. Let's go clip for clip, and we see first these charged spikes of ice that she's firing almost like a winding up of a bow and then releasing at great range. This seems to be something we can do in multiple ways with different types of magic, and we'll look at that in a sec. First though, fire magic, which we've seen in the fire staff that she creates. It's used in sort of melee combat, and it bursts out in fire on impact. You can also have it to whip or grapple targets. Next is what I'm going to call nature magic for now. As she's standing in this bush, she begins to envelop herself in a cloak, which makes her entirely see-through and seemingly invisible to these enemies. Now we're back to the fire staff again. We get a nice example of a short melee combo that's using that staff against a pretty big horde of enemies here. Next though, that awesome flowing movement, but mid-combat, where she's diving in and unleashing the first example of lightning magic in an explosion around her. Moving on though, we have our first earth magic in the trailer, where we're whipping out this this earth spike which explodes on impact. Last trailer, I saw her creating mines with this type of magic, and there was also a different spike she'd make from ice. But in this trailer, we go on to see the water magic back again, where she's channeling it like a black hole, sort of dragging enemies into one location and then blasting them to pieces. Like I said, she did something similar in the last trailer, but using ice instead of water, and that exploded in an ice spike, just like that earth spike we just saw. So I'm thinking there's actually types of attacks that you can do, and then you choose which element it's going to be in, and that will surely change how it works in a big way. I also wonder if we'll ever see examples of like ice weapons, like twin ice daggers, or like an earth hammer or something, since we have a fire staff. Lastly, we see a familiar channeled machine gun shot of earth magic, sending out these sharp rocks like a Gatling gun, and that is, like I said, really similar to the first one, the channeled ice shots. So maybe that's the same attack, right? But it changes depending on whether you're using earth or ice. To me, that sounds like a really cool system, and maybe it works like that, but hopefully we learn more about how it does work soon. At this point though, hopefully you understand why I find the gameplay so interesting. It's magic that seems to give you a lot of freedom of movement, but then the combat gives you so many options as well. The last thing I want to highlight is then the enemies we've seen in this game, the monsters. So far, we've seen an actual dragon boss fight, these strange bird monsters, these goblin-like guys in a big pack. There's armored humans that actually remind me of Vikings. There's also some undead types, and then of course Tanta, the main villain of the game, who's presented as a sort of boss fight, where she's smashing through your shields while using her own magic that seems very familiar. In the new trailer, we get to see even more enemy types. There's this slowly landing Valkyrie type, which seems like a boss enemy to me. There's a mix of animals we've seen that appear to be combined creatures. Now, it's hard to say in this clip with the ice, at this distance. It seems like these might be hyenas combined with something. But then look at these ones, whatever the hell these are. They've got really long tails and long necks despite having sort of a feline body. We also saw the Viking humans again as we're leaping past them, but targeting what I think is a flying Valkyrie. Of course, there's the new white and gold bears that we're stealthing past, the horde of humanoids that we're fighting with the fire staff, this band of medieval looking archers we're about to explode and zap, and finally that giant eye monster that seems to be creating those strange humanoid creatures that are made from vines. In short, that's a lot of monsters and a lot of enemy types. Some are huge, some are small. You fight them in, one-on-one or large groups. To me, it looks like a really nice variety, and hopefully they all require different approaches to actually be able to defeat. Since, hey, we have all this magic and how it works differently, hopefully it needs to be used in different ways intentionally. So yeah, I think this looks really cool, and that's why I included it in my games Monster Hunter fans should be excited for video. But it's nice to finally have a release date now, May 24th next year. I'm definitely looking forward to learning more about the magic, and most of all, how it actually works and how we control it. If you aren't aware, this game is in dev by Luminous Productions, being produced by Square Enix. This is a team that actually has a history with the Final Fantasy games, so they're very experienced. Let me know your thoughts on Forspoken then, and if there's anything you've spotted that I've missed here. But until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.